In the West, when we think of tech empires, names like Apple, Google, Amazon, and Meta dominate the conversation. But there's one company largely silent in public discourse that doesn't just compete. It dominates. It doesn't scream innovation through flashy keynotes or billion-dollar product launches. Instead, it spreads like mist, quiet, invisible but everywhere. This is the story of Tencent, the Chinese company that started by copying a chat app and now controls vast portions of the tech world, from gaming to payments, social media to global investments. A company so intertwined with daily life in China, its presence is almost unavoidable. And yet, behind its rise is a story of adaptation, ambition, surveillance, power, and a constant tug-of-war with the Chinese Communist Party itself. This is the company that owns everything. In 1998, a young Chinese engineer named Pony Ma co-founded a small startup in Shenzhen. The idea? To create a local version of ICQ, the early internet messaging platform from the West. They called it OICQ, and yes, it was as much a clone as the name suggests. But in China, this wasn't seen as a flaw. It was a smart move. Foreign apps weren't well localized, internet penetration was growing, and Chinese users wanted something that worked better for them. But OICQ soon ran into legal threats from AOL, ICQ's owner. The team had no money to fight. Worse, they had no business model. The user base was growing, but revenue, zero. Tencent was on the brink. Then, in a move that would change everything, venture capitalists came in, specifically IDG Capital and PCCW, giving Tencent the funds it needed to survive. With money in the bank, the team got to work. They rebranded OICQ to QQ, added features like emojis, avatars, and eventually virtual items you could buy. Yes, Tencent practically invented the idea of selling pixels for real money. That simple shift from utility to monetization became a goldmine. As QQ exploded across China, a new challenger entered. MSN Messenger, backed by Microsoft. Powerful, global, a true tech titan. But Tencent wasn't intimidated. Instead of playing defense, they moved fast, really fast. They added new features every week. Music players, games, dating services, even antivirus software. QQ wasn't just a messenger. It was becoming a platform. And Microsoft? Too slow, too foreign, too late. By the late 2000s, QQ had crushed MSN in China. Tencent had done the unthinkable. It defeated Microsoft on its home turf in the world's most populous nation. But they weren't done yet. Next stop, gaming. By the early 2010s, Tencent saw the future, and it was games. They already had the users. Now they needed content, so they started licensing games from around the world. And then they started buying the companies that made them. Riot Games, creators of League of Legends, bought. Supercell, behind Clash of Clans, bought. Epic Games, the studio behind Fortnite, huge stake. Today, Tencent is the largest gaming company on Earth, raking in more money than Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft combined. And they didn't stop with games. They launched their biggest play yet, a revolutionary app that would redefine daily life. In 2011, Tencent released WeChat, a messaging app designed to rival WhatsApp. But this wasn't just another chat app. WeChat evolved fast. It became a full-blown ecosystem, a super app. Text, voice, video, sure. but also social media, ride-hailing, food delivery, booking doctors, paying taxes, sending money, renting bikes, applying for loans. You could live in China without cash, without cards, without even a phone number, as long as you had WeChat. It became so essential, the joke was, if you don't have WeChat, do you even exist? WeChat Pay soon rivaled and then surpassed credit card usage in China. But with dominance came darkness. All this data, accessible to the Chinese government, messages, transactions, locations, contacts, all of it. WeChat wasn't just a tool. It was a mirror into a person's life, a mirror that the authorities could peer into any time they wanted. Tencent's ambitions didn't stop at China's borders. Instead of launching products globally, they began investing, buying up pieces of tech companies, media companies, and game studios around the world. They took major stakes in Snap, Reddit, Spotify, Tesla, Ubisoft, Discord, and many more. They didn't need to build a global empire from scratch. They'd just buy into the ones that already existed. And through these investments, Tencent spread its influence quietly, softly. But Western governments started to take notice. How much influence did Tencent really have? Could their investments be a backdoor for Chinese state interests? Could Tencent be used not just for business, but for power projection? These weren't just paranoid questions. They became national security concerns. But just as Tencent was climbing higher than ever before, everything changed. In 2021, the Chinese government launched a sweeping crackdown on its own tech giants. Ant Group's IPO crushed. Alibaba investigated, and Tencent caught right in the storm. Beijing was concerned. These companies were growing too powerful, too independent, too rich. They controlled money, information, public opinion. So the Communist Party brought down the hammer. Regulations tightened. WeChat was ordered to clean up its content. Tencent's gaming licenses were frozen. Youth gaming hours were slashed. Profits plummeted. Stock prices tumbled. From being one of the most valuable companies in Asia, Tencent lost hundreds of billions in market value. The message was clear. No company, no matter how big, is above the party. So where does that leave Tencent? On one hand, it's a marvel of business evolution, rising from copycat roots to dominate industries. It has built China's most important app, the world's largest gaming empire, and a global network of investments. It understands user behavior. It adapts with speed. It executes with ruthless precision. On the other hand, it's a company trapped in a paradox. Its success is built on the support and restrictions of the Chinese state. It walks a tightrope. Innovate, but don't outshine the party. Expand, but stay loyal. Profit, but obey. Every step is watched, every move analyzed. And as the geopolitical chessboard shifts, Tencent finds itself at the center of a silent war between economic ambition and authoritarian control. Tencent doesn't dominate through charisma. It doesn't rely on a visionary founder or a Silicon Valley image. It's not trying to be cool, it's trying to be everywhere. And in China, it already is. But globally, its path is less certain. Will governments allow its silent spread to continue? Will Tencent continue to walk the tightrope or fall off? One thing's for sure. Tencent has mastered the art of adaptation. Whether it can master the future is a story still being written. Because behind every click, every game, every message, Tencent might just be watching. And if you've played a game messaged a friend, or listened to a song today, there's a good chance Tencent had something to do with it. It's the company that owns everything.